exchanged a dozen communications in a single day. Though it has to be said that the length of our communications and the quality of our prose have deteriorated dramatically. The sense of being constantly closer to Nepal also derives from the permanent presence of so many more Nepalis in this country, whether they are retired Gurkhas and their families, visiting professionals or students. So Nepal is no longer out there and far away, it's also here very much amongst us. Unfortunately, it's no longer necessary to travel 5,000 miles when we feel the urge to eat a momo. The quality of our relationship became most clearly apparent, I believe, in the immediate aftermath of the great earthquake of 2015. Within 3 days of the disaster, a group of Nepali students in London organised a huge gathering of several thousand Nepalis and friends of Nepal in Trafalgar Square. Over the weeks that followed, the British public's response to the appeal for emergency funds was by far the most generous of any nation on earth. And I think this speaks volumes about the warmth of our relationship. Thank you very much.
Guests, it's with a little nervousness that I address you, considering that the knowledge, not just cumulatively, but each and every one of you has of Nepal, would dwarf my knowledge and understanding by many, many degrees. And it's a little like one of my pastimes, as I chair the mountaineering club in Parliament, and looking at the top of the world in front of me here. It's always the case that when we have our meetings, somehow, if they're in Parliament, a top leading British mountaineer will manage to find their way down to London, is available to stay afterwards in the bar of the House of Commons. And I'm talking about people such as Doug Scott and Alan Hinks and Chris Bonington, people who know Nepal and every corner of it extremely well, to serenade us with their deep knowledge, and then to identify small locations where they haven't yet managed to visit, where they're intending to do so at some time in the future. And mere mortals like myself have to shrink back using the real excuse that the parliamentary life does not allow us the time to spend on such pastimes, that we're confined to quarters of voting on great matters of state, you understand. Though I do wonder these days whether it might be possible to persuade certainly in my case, the whips to release me, particularly for an attempted assault on Everest for a period of months, and get me out of the way. Though for others it may well be that, of my colleagues, that if I was to recommend bungee jumping in Nepal to them, that they may not quite understand the genuine nature of the offer that I made to them. When I first visited, neither with rucksack nor with long hair, but appropriately attired, very British with suit and tie and briefcase. 4 elections. What I noticed was 2 things. The first, of course, you will all be very familiar with, but really was a shock to me. And that was the level of warmth and hospitality that we received. Of course, I expected that we would receive some, that we would be welcomed. And one gets to do this in many corners of the earth. Nothing nothing compared with the warmth and hospitality at every level that we received, from the Speaker to the humblest of voters queuing for hours to participate in democracy. And I was lucky. I was paired with former Army Officer Adam Holloway, and I won't say who, might have been the European Union representative, who suggested to us that because there had been one or two problems, that there were certain polling stations we'd be advised we shouldn't visit on election day. There had been an incident or two, and a serious incident or two. We resolved, of course, immediately that they would be the first that we would visit, because it would be appropriate that election observers not just going to see how the election is being carried out, but be seen by the population choosing to vote, that we were prepared to go exactly where they were prepared to go. And what did we witness? But queues stretching beyond our imagination, of people waiting 3, 4, 5 hours patiently in queues, often voting in very many different ways for very many parties, but choosing to participate. And what a powerful message that gave us to bring back, and we did, not least to our Foreign and Commonwealth Office and our International Development Department, of the key strategic importance, but also the key political alliance that we have with Nepal, and how that needs to be strengthened. And as we go our own way in the world, whatever one's views on that, that can only more be the case from next year onwards, whether we like it or not. And therefore we're obligated as parliamentarians to look for where our best friends in the world are, and to strengthen on every single level those links. But as well, perhaps here's a message to the society. You know, I was a delegate, one of the 2 parliamentary delegates, at the big Ivory Conference convened by the British government very recently. I have the honour and privilege of a detailed discussion with His Excellency the Ambassador. It is not just the case that Nepal has a fantastic message to give out in relation to wildlife conservation, because this is something that I do know about ever since I got the law changed to make trade in endangered species a proper imprisonable offence with the World Wildlife Fund over 15 years ago. I do know what the facts are in relation to this. I have seen the WWF report released just yesterday of how humanity is managing within a decade to destroy almost half the endangered species across the entire planet. Country after country, despite imaginative work, despite heroic efforts, despite lives being lost in the battle against the poachers, against the conflict between human and wildlife, and the problems and imagination and systems required to resolve that. Despite all that effort, across the world we are losing and losing very heavily. And yet one country has the most magnificent evidence, factual evidence, particularly since 2009, even more so since 2014, that can be quantified in terms of the rhino population and the tiger population. Of course they are 2 of the most iconic and crucial species. No one needs persuading of that. But it is the facts that are so powerful here, the fact that one country has managed to stop the poaching of its rhino population. The fact that one country has managed to more than double its tiger population. And these days, we have the expertise for quantifying these things really scientifically, rather than good guesswork, which was the case 20, 30, 40 years ago. This is real science. This is real proof. This is actual success. And if I may be so humble, almost arrogant, I suppose, as well at the same time, as making a plea, because I met such a modest people when I went to Nepal. Please, 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 with this success, be less modest. Go to the rest of the world and explain how you have succeeded. This incredible work that so many people, but some brilliantly, if I may say, have engineered and inspired and created. But it has been now definably a success that we classify as a lasting success. Well, I tell you, from the communities across the world trying to defend the critical endangered species, which in my estimation will determine whether humanity has a future on this planet or not. You, Nepal, are in the lead. You should be going out, not bragging, not being complacent, but explaining the success. It's showing people how it is working, why it is working. If others were listening to you and emulating your success, then that report released just yesterday by the World Wildlife Fund to Nature can be reversed, and you are in the lead in doing that. And therefore, it is my plea and my hope, and I think my certainty, that we can work together in helping to promote that, and in a little way, just to assist. We parliamentarians have tabled a resolution in the British Parliament recognising that success, placed today on the order paper, I'm sure to be debated at some stage in the near future, and recognising as well, and I shall end on this, the two little bits of my very modest experience with your country. And that is this. Part of the success, and it's a prerequisite to the success, is that you have had stable government, stable democracy, good government, good democracy. That is a credit that I would ask Your Excellency to take back to the government of Nepal. It is a fact, and that is a prerequisite for this brilliant success in protecting these endangered species. But thank you, thank you, thank you for what you are doing, and we will attempt to help you to spread this good news well beyond the British Parliament, but across this country, and if we can, to other corners of the earth. Thank you.
Thank you. You're right, Honourable. Ground engineering specialist. He has gained solid experience and competence through excellent research and professional work. He has 20 years of industrial and research-based experience in the investigation, design, monitoring, and management of wide variety of civil and geotechnical engineering projects. Currently, he is the principal ground engineering specialist at Arcadis Global Engineering Consulting Firm and is leading London Geotechnics team for technical deliveries to be made for HS2 Phase 1, high-speed railway line connecting London to Birmingham, works for Central Area Sections C2 and C3. Pursuing his passion, Dr. Amatya is advocating development of an underground metro rail system in Kathmandu Valley, Nepal, and has done several presentations within Nepal and abroad on his proposed scheme. also has published several papers on the subject matters. I now invite Dr. Amatya to make his presentation.
Namaste and good evening, distinguished chief guest, Your Excellency, and distinguished guests. Thank you for coming today, and thank you for the opportunity to present today. I'm going to talk about the infrastructure development the country is desperately need, and particularly the metro system. So in this talk, first I will talk about the current transport chaos Kathmandu has, and how we can think metro development within Kathmandu Valley. So underground metro and cross-rail system in Kathmandu, metro rail for Greater Kathmandu, ground condition of Kathmandu, can we build metro in the local context, and R&D for the metro development, project cost, economic appraisal, strategic development. These things I would like to touch a little bit. So I think most of you have visited Nepal. Kathmandu is a valley. It's not a very big place. It's about 30 kilometer length, 25 kilometer height in the breadth. So this Kathmandu Valley is an opportunity area for the whole country. So every Nepalese has a dream to build a house in Kathmandu. And this is the prime opportunity area within the valley. Kathmandu is dazzling. It's you know, you can just see our roads are widened, solar light panels are making light dazzling. This is the main highway passing through the city. However, the traffic situation in Kathmandu is chaotic. See, this is the latest picture. October, people are just coming back from the same celebration. It's chaos. We cannot imagine living in this country, the traffic situation there. So whenever you go in Kathmandu, it's a traffic jam. The whole city is traffic jam. And city is full of dust and pollution. It's so difficult to imagine how people are surviving with a good health. See, people are protesting with the mask and the statue now. You know, they can't find solution, so they find way to protest. And it's very impressive protest. So, Kathmandu is seriously ill, and we have failed to look after the city. So, you see the people traveling there, and we can't simply imagine how people are commuting here. So government is widening road. You know, the vehicles are increasing and government is widening the road. So they are widening the ring road, they are widening, and they are also destroying the heritage. So traffic problem has created threat to local residents and displacement to them. So people are protesting. It's poor planning and poor management of stakeholders. So this says stop widening the road in the city unlawfully in the name of guideline which was built hundreds of years ago. So with the widening road, our heritage are under threat. And this is the true picture. We are demolishing our precious heritage. They are disappearing in the name of widening road and in the name of urbanization. So to solve this problem in a multiple way, Kathmandu need metro solution. And if we look in the city is, you know, these are the natural heritage site. Roads are narrow. It's not designed for modern transport system. So to solve the problem, we need underground metro system like the one we have here in London. So underground metro is the future of Kathmandu. people are talking about building monorail, and I don't think that monorail system will solve the transport problem of Kathmandu. It's just a temporary measure. It could be temporary measure. So monorail will not solve the transport problem of Kathmandu. You know, if we see the transport capacities of various transport systems, see the bus shuttle could carry 2,000 people per hour per lane. They even talk about the cable metro, which can carry this much, 2,500 per hour per direction. So there are various things. And in my view, this is the only solution. Kathmandu needs metro solution, which can carry 25,000 to 60,000 people per hour per direction. So I propose that government should think underground metro system in Kathmandu in the central part in this pattern. And these highlighted sections will be cross-rail of Kathmandu. And this is essential to maintain the beauty of the city and to look Kathmandu in the long term. Maybe we are talking about 200 years now. Probably we need to think like that in terms of 20 years, 50 years, and 100 years. So this is the true picture in the Google map. So basically, I perceive 9 major underground stations in the central part of the Kathmandu. So this is the railway map for the whole Kathmandu Valley. So if we see in the bird's perspective, Kathmandu metro network looks like this. So if we can build metro like this, then the disintegrated 22 municipalities of Kathmandu Valley will be integrated. At the moment, they are completely disintegrated. They are not connected. So I argue that Kathmandu needs 20 years rail vision for proper capital city. While thinking about Kathmandu Metro, we need to think about how to connect metro with the national rail network system that government is working. And also we need to think about how to connect Kathmandu Metro with the national and international rail network system. For example, there are several DEX studies carried out to connect Kathmandu with Tibet, China. These are a few DEX study alignment. There's another alignment coming here. So there are several alignments. So we should think about how to develop metro and how to connect with the future national and international network. So while thinking about metro system in Kathmandu, metro system can be developed in 3 ways. One on surface, one underground system, and one elevated system. I argue that the central part of Kathmandu and some part of Octopus should be underground. So for example here, this underground system will be inside here, and this underground system could be these lines. Likewise, these lines could be on surface or elevated. So I just show you here. So these lines are going like that. So this is, for example, a Bungumati area. It's a very, very, culturally rich and still preserved area. We don't want to destroy that. So we just would like to have the metro running side by. So can we build this sophisticated metro system in the ground condition of Kathmandu? You may know that Kathmandu was a valley thousands of years ago. It was a lake. Because of the plate tectonics activities, the water drained out from the valley. So most of the ground condition in the central part of Kathmandu Valley is a lake deposition, sedimented ground. So this valley was a lake thousands of years ago and is habitable now. So if you see the ground there, you can see up to 500 meters of sand and clay deposit. Rock, to find rock in the central part of Kathmandu, you need to go 500 meters. So these are the same picture here. Different sections. You see the Kathmandu cross section. If we look east-west side, we have, The rock here, Soymu is sitting on rock, Pashupatinath is sitting on rock, rest of them are lake deposition. So we have also Big Ben in Kathmandu. If we see ground condition beneath the Big Ben in Kathmandu, you see we have, soft ground. So these are the soft ground, various ground conditions at different parts of the city, and how complex and how heterogeneous these are because of lake deposition. And you know that Kathmandu clay is very good for potteries. And if you go around the city, you might have found many pottery industries, pottery shops. So I'm just putting here, if we compare Kathmandu, you can mold Kathmandu soil by hand, while if you see the London clay, it's hard to scratch. I'm scratching this Kathmandu London clay by my nail, and I'm struggling that. So in terms of strength, they are so different. And on top of that, Kathmandu is highly seismic. You know that we had 3 years ago a big earthquake. So in such ground condition, in such geological condition, can we build metro? So if we build metro, how deep we go? How high we go? So when we build underground system, ground will settle in three-dimensional way. For example, this tunnel is passing here and the ground is settling. So if you build tunnel here, ground settles like that in a very, very layman term. If you make a big tunnels, ground settles like that. And these days, tunneling can be done by a nice machine called TBM. And this is the TBM used for Crossrail in London. So in the context of Kathmandu ground condition, I propose that we can build twin tunnels of 6 meter diameter to pass each train in this direction, or we can build a bigger tunnel with 2 trains passing through that. In terms of SkyTrain, we can build SkyTrain going outside the city. For example, this is the highway passing and going to Hutt. We can probably build at the central part of the highway elevated system. So these routes, we can build elevated system. So let's go to Bangkok to see how they have built elevated system. So they have BTS train system in Bangkok. This is the BTS train system. And they managed to build that with foundation going up to 50 meters below the ground. So ground condition in Bangkok is very, very poor. It's much worse than Kathmandu. So in the context of Kathmandu, when we built these piers to support the building, support the rail, the load is massive. And on top of that, during seismic event, ground shakes like that, ground shakes like that. So we need to manage our structure to withstand that vibration as well. So very, very crude way, I think for this SkyTrain, we need maybe 9 to 15 piles and maybe up to 30, 40 meter deep. So SkyTrain won't be cheap as well. And I said, I said we need to have, we maybe have 9 major underground stations in the central part. And these 9 major underground stations will be multiple stories like this. But local stations we can build just like building small buildings and the tunnel passing side by side. But in terms of overground structures, we can build stations like, this is the Delhi Metro one, this is Dubai Metro one. Can I have some water? So to build Crossrail in Kathmandu, it's a very, very crude estimate. We might need about, to get this all alignment, we might need about, to build it, $2.2 billion. And to build whole network system, we might need $5.5 billion just for construction. So, in terms of GDP of the country, it's almost like 25% of GDP, national budget of 45%. So we need to think in the long term. So to start metro, maybe we need to think from a pilot scheme. Maybe we need to build this section first and see how it works, how popular it becomes, how good it can impact in the national economy, and several things. So maybe we should try from this 36-kilometer length, $1 billion. Or maybe this one, but I prefer the green one because it can connect more big towns. But just building the metro will not solve the Kathmandu's transport problem. We need to have a feeder bus system as well. And this is what I'm trying to show here. You know, this is a kind of local town called Lagankhel. At the moment, it's a chaos. It's a sandy town. It's completely, you know, this is the historic place where this chariot goes around in Patton area. It's a bus park at the moment. So if metro comes there and underground stations is built there, how we can regenerate that place, we can see here. So this is the place at the moment. The bus station is there. But while we're building newer development in the site, we need to think about the heritage as well. There are heritage here and there, like for example, the living goddess Kumari comes here to sit to observe the chariot festival here. So if we can do that with the metro in the city, we can regenerate places here and there. And in terms of the city outside the town, outside the city, for example, Bungamati, I propose that we build new Bungamati. We don't touch the old Bungamati, we build a new Bungamati and build a train station there. And so, likewise, we can regenerate many suburban area within the valley. And Kathmandu needs a business hub thinking as well.
हिउँदो वर्षा लेख्बे